go because the foliage was beautiful. And we went up there. Well, the rumors we used to hear, and I don't know whether they're true or not, was that he had a bonfire, and because the railroad was the Canadian Pacific, and it ran right down, went right through a piece of that land I owned, as a matter of fact, that all the way down to Quebec and to Milo and on out to the Maritimes. But at any rate, the rumors were that he would have this bonfire down. It probably wasn't more than a half a mile from his camp down to the tracks, and that that he was. The rumors was that he was smuggling, and that he had this bonfire to. You see, Canada during Depression never had liquor depression, never.
Yeah.
No
I mean, prohibition.
Yeah.
Right.
Never had liquor prohibition.
Yeah.
And so, among other things, he was, the rumor was that he was,
Judy,
you know, bringing in stuff for sale, booze, I suppose, and maybe other stuff, I don't know.
Yeah.
did you ever meet him? Did you ever know him at all?
I heard about him only. According to this pamphlet that the fellow sent me, I read in there that he had been investigated by revenue officers, the Department of Revenue, and that they were suspicious of him, and that he managed to always stay ahead of them, apparently. This was the rumors.
Yeah.
And I don't know how accurate. And that he had these bonfires as a signal to his accomplice, apparently, that would be coming along when that trains come regularly down from Canada.
Yeah.
Across to Brownville Junction.
Yeah.
And that they would drop off stuff there, and then if the fire was of a certain type, apparently, or no fire, or maybe no fire was safe and a fire was not safe.
Yeah.
But that was a signal to the guy to either drop it or not, whatever it was. That was the rumor.
Yeah. So when your parents were up there, he wasn't home then?
Huh?
The cabin was empty when your folks
yes,
went up
he
there?
wasn't
They
there.
was gone,
Yep.
yep.
Let's see, that would have been in the, when we went up there. My mother wanted to go, Dad took us over. It was probably 1930.
Let me see, I got a picture of that.
Sometime around 35, 36, perhaps.
That was after he passed away.
Yeah, had to be.
Well, yeah, the rumor, and the pamphlet said that he had,
Was it during that time? Was that
Yeah.
the trip?
yeah, that's me stealing food.
So was that when you went on that trip up there to the cabin, Dad?
Yeah. No, that didn't have anything to do with Jim White, though. That was,
Yeah, no, yeah. So did he die right there at the cabin?
No, he died in the hospital.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
In New
I had
Jersey.
heard that he died in the Masonic Hospital,
Oh,
a Masonic home,
that's right.
down
Yeah,
in
this morning.
New Jersey somewhere.
Yes.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
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 But
Sounds like it was an
I don't
interesting
know
human
whether, I don't know any more than just
Yeah.
these are not facts, they're just
Right.
rumors.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to go to that talk tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why I was interested in reading that this fellow's gonna be here.
Yes.
Apparently, he's researched him more so than.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot.
so he probably
Yeah.
has more.
And
The
What
book,
time is that? 11
And he
o'clock?
spells the name
I
different
don't wanna miss
than they spelled the name over there. They spelled it W-H-I-T-E.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a
Where
Y.
apparently his name was more of a German type name.
W-Y-T-T-E.
Yes, it was German.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bozine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw that you were a photographer in high school. I saw that you were a photographer when you were in high school. Had a photography club.
And basketball and stamp club.
Yeah.
Droopy drawers. That's what his
My
sister
sister
called me.
used to make fun of me. Yes, I had, Harry Davis had a fella that, what was his name? And so did Cy Wilkins. They had photography years ago.
Oh, Sherburn.
Yeah,
Is it Sherburn you were trying to think of? The photographer?
Sherburn?
no,
Frank Sherburn? No?
no,
That was before.
no, this was a fellow that lived in that, up over the gum factory upstairs. And always, he was into a little bit of photography, got me interested, as a matter of fact. And I, what's his name? Yeah, anyway, Harry Davis, like, he was never had a wife that I knew of. But what I did was, I was in high school, and I set up a dark room up in the front of the old house here, and I started developing films for people,
Ah,
and somebody would, you know, the old Kodak films would come in a roll.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I also took a few pictures. Oma Stanfield's father, what was his name? I took a picture of him out on his front lawn, and I developed that, and they were pleased. But it was.
Did
a
you charge
hobby.
any money?
It wasn't a real, just a hobby.
Just a hobby. Did you continue with that after you left high school?
In high school, yeah.
Yeah, just in high school. You didn't do anything with it after that? The photography?
No,
No.
no.
You mentioned the pamphlet you got about Jim White. You don't still have that, do you?
Yes, somewhere. If I could only, I tried my darndest to find where I had put all this stuff when I knew it was coming up.
Yeah.
And
We'll go through all that.
Yeah.
Is it in a file somewhere,
if
Dad?
I find it, I'll mail it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see
We
that.
were gonna bring a bunch of stuff up, but I flew in
Yeah.
like the day before, and
Yeah.
we were gonna go through all that.
Yeah.
Where do
I've
you
got
have
so darn many
Like
books
Wyoming,
piled
Wyoming,
up that
Wyoming.
somebody ought to teach me how to be a librarian and organize things. But I never did, you know.
Yeah, well,
I've got 2 rooms of books that go to the ceiling.
Yeah, that's all. That's
Do you remember Dr. Phil Thomas?
see,
Roy Thomas's son.
Roy Thomas.
He had a son,
Is that
Phil.
the Thomas house?
Yeah, yes.
Used to have, what was her name, the woman?
Bray.
Oh,
What was
she was at one of the reunions that I attended.
That's Vivian's sister, right? Was
Yeah.
Roy's wife.
Yeah. No, I didn't know him,
No.
but I knew of the Thomas house,
Yeah.
and I knew, and I had briefly met this. What was her name?
Maud Bray. Maud Thomas.
Maud.
No, I'm not sure.
Anyhow, she got quite an old lady when she was at that reunion.
Yeah, yeah.
And but I recognized that who it was,
Yeah.
and they used to take. They used to let rooms out to travelers.
Yes.
That they ran it like a small
Boarding house.
boarding house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Roger? Yep, go ahead.
yeah.
Just a couple of more questions. It's getting late. Boy Scouts. You belong to Boy Scouts?
Yeah. Reverend Sorensen, you ever hear of Reverend Sorensen?
Yeah.
Well, Reverend Sorensen was our scoutmaster. And he and I took an interest in each other. Well, he was the church minister. I liked Reverend Sorensen, very nice man. And I got to be his so-called assistant scoutmaster. And we took several trips of Boy Scouts. We had a nice little troop
Yeah.
in those days. And we would go off, well, we camped up in Bullstone Mountain a couple of times. And we also went to a contest in Guilford where demonstrating different things that the Scouts could do and that kind of stuff. I got quite a few merit badges. I never did get to be an Eagle Scout, but
But you went to Camp Roosevelt?
hmm?
You went to Camp Roosevelt? The scout
Oh
camp?
yes, I did go to Camp Roosevelt, yeah. One summer, my mother sent me there, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Off you go.
Sounds like
Yeah.
grandma.
God, you're exhausting, Dad.
Yeah, I went to Camp Roosevelt.
How could you do all this stuff?
I know, I'm getting this huge inferiority complex.
I also saw that you belong to the Sons of Union Veterans here in town. You belong to the Sons of Union Veterans here in town.
Yeah, Harry Wing and I.
Who was your ancestor that you joined on?
Who was my wife?
Your Civil War ancestor.
In the Civil War?
Mm-hmm.
I had several. Alonzo Mitchell.
Mm-hmm. And he was in Shirley.
Yeah. He would have been my great-grandfather. Or is that two greats? No, my great-grandfather, I guess.
Yeah.
He was wounded at the Battle of Bull Run, Manassas. He was apparently taken from there to Frederick, Maryland, with his wounds, and died of them there. Captain Charles Simpson was active in the Civil War, but I don't know the history much of him. I wish I did.
Where was he
He
from?
was from Aroostook County,
Rostock?
from Washburn.
Was that Mark Simpson's
that-
father?
Yeah.
It was that line.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
might have something on that.
Really?
If I do, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
We're trying to
Captain Charles
figure out what
Simpson.
happened up there. How they
Uh,
ended up here.
those were the two principal ones that I think have come to mind. Bernice Martin, my father's cousin, had the letter that was written by Alonzo Mitchell's captain, or whatever of the company he was in, informing her of his activities. Battle of Manassas. First Battle of Manassas, a bull run it's called here. She didn't hang on to it. There was a collector that convinced her that he wanted it, and she passed it on to him. I never saw it. I used to hear about it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Those are the only two that I really know for sure. There may have been others that I don't know.
Well, I knew if you joined the Sons of Union Veterans that you had somebody, so those were the two that you probably joined on. And yeah.
Those are the two that the family talked about anyway.
Yeah.
My father's middle name was Charles, and that was after that Charles. But he came back wherever he went, or if he did go. But there was some sort of written up thing where he applied for a pension to the government later. I guess they didn't have pensions to start with.
Yeah.
And whether he was succeeding getting it, I don't know. I did hear that talk.
Well, you have some wonderful pictures in your family.
That's my father.
She said that was your dad.
Yeah, it's up in Shirley. Yeah.
How did they happen to move to Shirley? Do you know?
Because his father was a blacksmith, and George Stacy, who ran the Shirley Lumber Company, the mills.
Yeah.
They had to use horses in those days, and he needed a blacksmith to take care of shoeing and all that, and all of the stuff that goes with what a blacksmith does to keep teams going.
Yeah.
And that's what my grandfather Simpson did.
Where did he move from to Shirley?
Washburn, Maine.
Oh yes, Ross. Yes, you
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
See, my memory's not as good as yours, obviously.
Mine either, never was.
Oh,
But he and Anna were the ones,
Yeah.
of course, as he gave up working as a blacksmith, that bought the Gilbert lot.
yeah. Yeah.
And he ran a garage there and did repair work. He was a jack of all trades, sort of, not just a blacksmith.
Yeah.
But anyhow, there's
The train.
a lot of stories. Ewald Jorgensen, he was downstairs in that old building. The A&P store used to be in that building when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the train? The narrow gauge train? Do you
Oh.
remember anything about the narrow gauge train?
Oh, do I ever? I knew Harold Morrill, the station agent. And I knew, he retired and he made a little model of the train.
Oh, French, Elwin.
Yeah,
Elwin French?
yeah. I knew him.
We have that model at the museum.
Do you?
Yes.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are we talking too long?
No, you're not talking too much. I was
Yeah.
just,
It's up to you. You can say when you're
Yeah.
done.
And yes, I knew the Frenches. I knew the Seidlingers.
the French.
Claude Seidlinger, he had two nice boys.
Yep.
Three.
One married.
One of them
Chris.
got hurt got killed, I
Yes, he
guess.
did, yeah.
He was under the car, the damn thing
Yeah.
was down
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
I
God.
think they
Yeah.
just had the two boys.
Because you know, Claude put me to work one summer. We went around, back in those days, they had, over in Elliottsville, there was a one-room schoolhouse there. And that was going, I was teaching that.
Mhm.
So we went over and I helped them, we swept the place out, and then we oiled, they had oil. I guess it must have been linseed oil or something. Oiled the whole floor in that thing. That's where, that's where, what's his name? Another town meeting type thing. I can't tell you this one because it's rotten. But it also involved Harrison Davis. I'll tell it to you on the slide someday.
Okay.
At the banquet, Dad. How about
Yeah.
the banquet? Let's leave
Yeah,
that
just
for the
let
banquet.
everybody know.
Oh, that's good.
But at any rate, that was what I did. I worked for Claude Seidlinger, and we went down to Willimantic,
Yep,
and that schoolhouse there, and we cleaned that one up.
Yeah.
And then, no, the old Finn Hall was gone. I mean, what is today the Finn Hall?
they must have had one in Blanchard.
Yeah,
That's
School
where
in
we're going tomorrow
Blanchard.
night to dance, Dad.
yeah, yeah. There was what was this schoolhouse that the hunters come to? We used to come to across the way from the going down toward the road that went down. There was a pit off. to
Oh,
the-
yes, the Burma
The
Road? Burma School?
Yeah, Burma Schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was going.
Mhm.
And but they closed those. They started,
Yeah.
you know, as
Right.
they got so they could had transportation and they get school buses. And
Yeah. Now, did you ever have Hazel Seidlinger as a teacher? Hazel Seidlinger?
No, she was later. I
Later?
heard about her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a good teacher too, I guess.
Yep. We had her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Yep.
No, that would have been after I left.
Who were your other teachers in high school?
In high school, Sinclair, a man called Sinclair. He taught science, and he was a good athlete. He helped us organize a ball team. Charlotte LeClaire, she was Charlotte didn't work until about my last 2 years in high school in the university, at the academy. Connie
McPherson.
well, she wasn't McPherson then. Her name was Connie
Oh, I know.
Goodwin.
Yeah, Goodwin.
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 Yeah.
And she was a good teacher, damn good teacher.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, Connie didn't come in until I was almost out. I was a junior, and she was there during my last 2 years, and then she and McPherson.
Donald.
Don McPherson, and I used to play in the Monson band. You know, we had a damn nice band.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Jackson used to run it for a while, and I think even Paul Nelson, I think, took over finally after I left, and I played in that band. And we'd go down to Dover Memorial Day and and we went to Greenville, and Frank Hughes used to be the drummer. And ever see Frank Hughes play the saw?
No.
He'd play the saw with the same as you'd play a violin.
We used to see Louise Grover used to do that.
Did?
Yes. And we have the saw at the museum.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
You have these pictures, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Ullman, he played the bass horn.
Oscar.
Oscar Burke played the drums.
Yeah.
Tony Lassen was in it. Junior Lassen.
Yeah, he played trumpet. Yeah, Felix Matson was the top trumpet player.
Yeah.
He was a damn good trumpet player.
Do you remember Phil Gilbert?
Who?
Phil Gilbert.
Gilbert?
Yeah. He played, I don't know if it was the same time or not.
I got involved in bands after I left
That's
here.
a picture of you.
Yeah. Now, that's Donald Davis there. This is Cy Wilkins, Delma Cook, Junior Larson, you know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony. Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
his name wasn't Davis, but he was a Davis, but I can't say the name. And I don't know who that guy is.
Well, it's a good-looking crew you got there in that picture.
This drum belonged to Cy Wilson.
Cy Wilkins.
Wilkins,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
We turned it over. We filled it in and put an M
I
out of the
see.
W.
Out of the W, yeah.
Funny.
Now that's nifty to know. That's
Yeah.
Boy, could Delma play the piano. God, he was a rhythm guy. We had good time.
what became of him, Delmar Cook.
Delma Cook, yeah.
Yeah, what became of him? Did he stay up here or move away?
He
or-
died over in, I heard, over in Skowhegan finally, with his, one of his children. I never got the details. I didn't even know he'd passed on till I read it somewhere. And yeah, he and I were in the same class. He was in the class of 1940.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so was Junior.
That was a very large class.
Yeah,
13.
Yeah.
yeah, 16 of us.
Oh.
Yeah.
8 girls and 8 girls.
Yeah. Now
That's
our class when we graduated, 1966, 8 girls and 8 guys.
There was.
Wow.
Wow,
Same thing.
16.
Yeah. In our
Isn't that
class.
interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
Good times.
yeah.
Wow.
Why did they tear it down?
Yes, Harold Morrill was
Mid-80s, I
the
think.
station agent on the little, and they had one passenger car that I think that was sent down to the cranberry bogs in
Carver, Mass.
Carver.
Yep. Yep. And the engines, two of
And
the
the
engines.
engine,
Yep.
too.
Yep.
They rescued that engine, I heard. It was up in someplace in New York where they were going to break it up for the foundry or something. But
Well, the 2 engines are now back in Maine,
are they?
and they're running, both of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Where, the Portland or something?
No, one is in down the Sandy River,
Yeah. Oh,
And-
that Sandy River fly.
right, and the other one is down to Alna, near Wiscasset,
Isn't
and
that
they're running
interesting?
it. Yes. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yes. Well, of course, Arthur, Will Bray, Arthur Bray's brother, he was the one that brought water to the town.
Huh. started the water company.
Yeah, Wilbray.
Wilbray, yeah.
Yeah. He built that container thing up on the hill up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And that's where, and he pipe water to everybody.
Hmm.
That house you got over here, right under the sink, was a darn good well, right down under the house.
Which,
Yeah.
The wing house, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember my mother once in a while, she wouldn't drink the water out of it. I don't know why. I may or may not been, but she would. We had a pump in there that we could pump that water up if we wanted to. Apparently, that place at one time was sort of a roadside stop.
Huh.
I heard that it was stagecoach days,
Yeah.
but I don't know how much of a thing that was.
Yeah.
The front room in that place, they had sliding doors in the two front bedrooms that we had. That they were bedrooms when I lived there, but those two sliding doors would open up so that that whole front of that house was open.
Huh.
And I suspect that that was probably used as a dining room if and when there was people that stopped during those early days of it being a spot.
Huh.
There was quite an interesting story about whether or not Monson would have the main road or whether Blanchard would have the main road to Greenville. And the Mousons were set up.
Yes.
They had one Mousson went to the road that went down through Blanchard and skipped Monson.
Right.
The other one came this way.
Mhm.
So there was some sort of political type going on to
Yeah.
make sure that
That's a
we
compromise, Dad.
that we got to go here
That's
instead of it going there. And poor old Blanchard never won the battle.
That's why Blanchard's, yeah.
I can remember the road from Blanchard Center going across to Shirley Corner. You could hardly travel that road at one time
Wow.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Dad and I used to go over there in the old Chevrolet, and he'd take a shotgun, you know, because a lot of partridge in those days
Oh.
along there.
I was gonna say pirates.
We'd shoot partridge, come back and have, he'd cook those partridge.
Mm,
I liked them, they were nice.
yeah.
Little breast and a couple of drumsticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
But-
was that, baby?
Yeah, surely. What else? The Jacksons.
Do you
We talked
remember?
about
Do you
Harry,
remember the Jackson twins?
Clayton and Clifton. Do you remember Clayton and Clifton Jackson?
They may have been.
I think they were before, you were probably in grammar school when they were.
I knew Carol Jackson,
Yeah.
and who was the Jackson that?
Was Earl Jackson was
Yeah.
involved in the band?
Yeah, well, Earl Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in quite a musician.
Yeah.
Well, Earl Jackson is the father of Clifton and Clayton,
Uh-huh.
the twin boys. And then they had a daughter.
Oh yes, I knew that Earl Jackson.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Those
two
were his-
boys played basketball.
Right, right. Those were his
Yeah,
three.
yeah.
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 Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't write. Were they twins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you take down that street. There was the Greenleafs.
Yeah.
There was
Bickford.
the Bickfords. There was the the Lords.
Yeah.
He married Neva Nelson. She was Chief
Yes.
Chief
Not-
Niedermeyer.
daughter.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Opal Nelson. She and my mother, they used to have sessions with the Circle, where they would get together, and Opal Nelson taught them how to make these. She was Chief Niedermeyer's favorite wife, they said, and he had her up here and decided that they would go by the name Nelson rather than what their Indian names were.
Yeah.
Therese Nelson was in the classes behind me.
Yeah.
Lawrence had an eye on her, Lawrence Wilkins.
Wilkins, yeah.
And we used to go walking up past Clacktown's and up to where they lived up there, but
Yeah.
she wouldn't come out. Because
He didn't try the May basket trick, huh?
you remember Ed and Audrey Higgins? They lived up by the spring.
Oh, God.
I know the name, but I don't remember them. Do you remember the Bishops?
The Bishops, Ira Bishop, yes,
Yeah.
I knew Ira Bishop.
Yeah, and Margaret.
Yeah,
Margaret was my aunt, and
Barbara Bishop, yeah.
no,
Well-
Margaret, Ira's wife, Margaret.
Margaret, Dad.
Oh, no, I guess that doesn't ring a bell.
No, and Grayson.